Welcome to the Libra Love Lounge, the show where I read posts on Reddit and give them relationship advice. My name's Eliana Camargo, and let's jump into the first post. I, 25 male, had an awkward moment with my girlfriend, 21 female, of 7 months, and lied, mixing up a moment with a past date with her. How should I proceed? Okay. Hey, this is stupid, but on a walk with my girlfriend of 8 months. The first lie we're catching him in, he said that it's his girlfriend of 7 months, but now he's saying he's on a walk with his girlfriend of 8 months. I'm sure that's just a mistake, but there's multiple lies here. I saw a shop and noted how it was open and mentioned last time we tried to go, it was closed. But my girlfriend didn't remember this happening and questioned me, saying it must have been another store or maybe it was with someone else. I kind of played dumb in the end and let it drop, saying my memory must be off. But now I think she is right in that it was maybe on a date I went on with someone else like a year ago, before I had met my current girlfriend, and that I had tried to go to this place with her. I feel stupid for blurting it out. It was obviously a non-event and wasn't worth mentioning, which is why I forgot who I was even with at the time. I do this all the freaking time. I cannot keep straight who I've told what, who I've gone where with what. Like even just like in friendships, I'll be like, I swear we talked about this, but it was with a different friend. I have the worst memory when it comes to this, which is one of the many reasons why I don't like dating multiple people at once, because I cannot for the life of me keep straight what I've told one person or another. So I get him. I think a lot of people are like this, and so it's not that big of a goof. Not that big of a deal. We've been working together, I think, on being more honest. She noticed how I'm now kind of overly careful with how I tell her things. She's been horrible in this respect, in my opinion. She almost always chosen to lie or omit over telling an uncomfortable truth so far in our relationship. So my question is, 1, should I have told her the truth at the time? I wish I was braver. And 2, do I tell her the truth now? I think she'll probably cry and get quite angry at me if I do this. Basing this on other moments with her when any hint of my past came up. What the heck? Okay, hold up. There's a lot of issues going on here. It's not that big of a deal that you try to go here on a date before you met your girlfriend, if that is the truth. If it's not you that is the liar, sir, but I'm trusting to believe you. It's really not that big of a deal. Like, whether you mentioned it, if you had mentioned it in the moment, personally, I don't think it matters that much. Really, oh, whoops, that was with somebody else that I may have gone on a date with before I met you. I don't know why I'm doing a British accent today. But also the fact that you're just like, oh, must have slipped my mind, whatever's going on there. Like the fact that you just kind of brushed it under the rug. I also don't think that's that big of a deal, because it's not like you're lying and saying like, oh, last week I was cheating on you and going on a date with someone else and we tried going here. It's just like, you're like, oh, I was mistaken. I guess I didn't try to go here with you. Must have been another store. Like that's just it's not really a lie. You're just like, oh, I was mistaken. You know, that is the truth. Doesn't matter why that memory popped up, especially because you know that it triggers her. But the fact that this triggers her so much that you telling her would have made her cry and get angry at you, like what is there to be angry about? The fact that she's not the only girl that you've ever loved? Like, she's got some issues that she needs to work through if that's the case, and that doesn't fall on you. That burden should not fall on you. That's her issue that she needs to go journal on her own and talk to a therapist and figure out why it matters so much that you have been on dates before you met her. Like that's wild to me. Also, should you tell her now? No, I don't think it matters that much. It really shouldn't be like, oh yeah, by the way, babe, remember that time I thought that store? I went there with you, or I tried going there with you once. Well, turns out I went there with another date. Like, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why you had that comment back then. There's just no reason to bring it up now. It's such a small non-issue, and you know that it's gonna trigger her. So that's the real issue here, is not the fact that you accidentally lied to your girlfriend. It's the fact that apparently she likes to lie about things, or lying by omitting the truth. It's great that y'all are working on this. She's noticed that you're kind of overly careful with how you tell her things. That's a weird comment that you wrote in here. Is it because you're trying to dance around the truth, or is it because you're trying to walk on eggshells to avoid making her angry or upset? Because I would be questioning being in a relationship with someone like this, unless when she has these emotional outbursts, if you tell her like, hey, you need to work on this, like obviously in a nicer way. Tell her like, it's not cool that you keep blowing up on me when I mentioned that I have a past and clearly there's some triggers and wounds there that you've got to heal. And if she's like, I agree, I'm gonna actively work on these, then like keep going. But I don't know, there's a lot of contention here for it being an 7 or 8 month relationship. Who knows? We don't know. We don't know if it's 7 or 8. But let's see what the comments have to say. 1, you didn't lie. You said your memory was off, which it was. That's exactly what I said. And 2, why the fuck would you tell her now? It's not relevant. Exactly. It's not needed information for any reason. Telling her the truth would be giving a lot of extra weight to an incident that never meant anything. You would almost be rubbing it in her face. Exactly, especially knowing her triggers. Being truthful doesn't mean you have to share every single thought that crosses your mind. Some things are important to bring up and talk about. Some things are better left unsaid. Another beautiful point that I think a lot of people who are new in relationships, or I guess it doesn't really matter how much relationship experience you have, but in my personal experience in the previous relationships I've been in, sometimes there's such a thing as being too truthful. And sometimes certain thoughts just need to stay in your head. You don't need to, being in a relationship doesn't mean that your minds need to meld as one. That OP responds and says, thank you for your thoughts. Sorry, you were right that this isn't a big deal. I think I'm tired in conflating our other problems, trust issues on both sides now, into this one. Yeah, I think this was the catalyst for you to speak your mind and realize that there's other issues going on at play here. Another comment says, red flag at her crying or getting angry at your past. Seriously? Yeah, exactly. Unless she's actively working on that and decides to stop taking it out on you and journal about it on her own and go to therapy, I personally don't think that this relationship is worth pursuing any further. So I had to jump to the conclusion of yet another Reddit post saying, break up! I'm not saying that necessarily has to happen here, but it's definitely something to keep your eye open for, or to look into further in the context of all the other issues that are going on in your relationship. Okay, next post. My 24 female husband, 31 male, asked for a paternity test. It came back positive, but our relationship was never the same. My 24 female husband, 31 male, and I have 3 children. Our sons look exactly like him, dark skin and dark eyes and hair, but our daughter doesn't. She looks exactly like my great-grandparents, really pale, blonde, and green-eyed. But apparently he didn't think it was possible that our daughter could look like my great-grandparents. And from the moment he saw her, he told me he wanted a paternity test. At first I refused because I felt it was humiliating, and because I didn't think it was necessary because I never cheated on him. And I hoped he would trust me, but he didn't. And for the first 2 months of our daughter's life, he made my life hell. Why didn't you just get the paternity test? Like, I understand that, you wanted your husband to just trust you. There's reasonable concern here that, I'm gonna assume the wife is white and the husband is black. It could be any other mix of races, but just for the context, I'm going to assume that that's the case. While it's entirely possible that you two having a child, the child could turn out looking white, it's not the most common thing in the world, so I think he's completely within his right to question whether or not this child is his. And I feel like it would be you'd be a good spouse to appease his concerns, and that you're innocent, supposedly. So why not just get the paternity test to ease his mind? It's not that big of a deal. He didn't want to hold her, even if she cried desperately while I was doing something else. He never woke up at night to help me with her. He never helped me with anything, and that hurt me so much. With our boys, he was completely different. Dude, this is, ouch. He helped me all the time with absolutely everything, and he was always there for me after giving birth. But this time, he left me alone, and it was the worst experience of my life. I have no family here, and his entire family, from the moment they saw my daughter, turned their backs on me. I don't have any friends here, so it was just my daughter and me. She is a colicky baby, so it was very difficult for me to do everything alone. And on top of that, help with their sons. Why did you wait to get the paternity test? It's kind of fucked up how he's treating the situation, but it kind of makes sense that if you're refusing to get a paternity test, it kind of screams guilt. It screams that you did cheat and you don't want him to find out. So you're like, just trust me, babe, just trust me. Our baby's white, it's fine. So it kind of makes sense that he's assuming okay, I guess you really did cheat if you're refusing to get this paternity test. And so I'm not gonna take care of this baby. That ain't mine. I don't think the way he's going about it is necessarily the best way either. And why is he choosing to stay with you if he thinks that you cheated and this baby isn't yours? There's all kinds of issues at play. But I'm just saying it makes sense why he's having these assumptions, because why didn't you just get the paternity test? I decided to do the paternity test because one day his entire family came over to our house to celebrate my son's birthday, and no one spoke to me. And they didn't want to include my daughter in the photos that my in-laws took of the grandchildren. This sucks. So I knew it was stupid to keep waiting for them to come to their senses. Yeah. Well, the paternity test came back positive, and everyone was shocked. And of course they felt guilty for not having believed in me. Everyone apologized, and my husband even cried when he held our daughter in his arms for the first time. And I know that his apologies were genuine, and that's why I forgave him. But I don't know if I can forgive his family. Dude, can you imagine for 2 months, you're like giving this baby hate because you think that it's not yours and that your wife cheated on you, and you're not even holding it or changing her diaper or anything. And then you finally find out like, oh, this actually is my daughter. And I have some recessive green-eyed genes in my blood because he probably has some mixed race background in his ancestry as well. Like, imagine the guilt you would feel in that moment, like holding this baby and being like, sorry, I thought you weren't mine for 2 months, but I love you now. Like, that's just, oh, that's really hard. That's really hard. They treated me really badly and said horrible things about me just a few days after giving birth, and I can't forget their insults or violence. My husband knows that I don't want to see his family, nor do I want them near any of our children, and he told his family. So these last 3 months, it's just been the 5 of us. But it doesn't feel as good as I expected. What did you expect? That just cutting your husband's family out of your life was gonna feel good? Might have given you some temporary peace, but like the underlying resentment and emotions there, and you already don't have your family where you're living, now you're cut off from his, like that's just, obviously that's not gonna feel good, girl, come on. My husband is constantly apologizing and crying every time he holds our daughter. Oh my God, and I'm getting tired of this situation. I want us to be happy as we were before. So how can we move on? My husband suggested that we should start couples therapy. How much can therapy help? Well, therapy can help a lot, so his suggestion is great. I'm really proud of him for suggesting that, and you should take him up on the offer since you seem like you want to resolve the situation. So that's a great starting point. I think you need to introspect and realize that like this whole time, the family assumed that you were a lying, cheating bitch. Should they necessarily be like calling you names because of that? I mean, that's one very emotionally unintelligent way of handling it, but it's kind of warranted in a situation, or not warranted, but it's understandable in a situation like that. So see it from their point of view. The baby doesn't look like it's his. He says, hey, I need some reassurance. Can you please get this paternity test? And you're like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. So it's like, oh shit, okay, so you are cheating. And then his family clearly is gonna be like, wow, this is my son, my brother, my whatever that you've been cheating on. You're kind of a bitch. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want anything to do with this baby. That's kind of understandable. So see it from their lens, their point of view, that you refusing to get this paternity test was a big red flag. You know, journal about how the situation feels, but you need to work towards forgiving them for this mistake and forgiving yourself for delaying the paternity test, forgiving your husband for not just having blind trust and faith in you, and looking at it logically and being like, even though emotionally I wish my husband would have my back 1000% and just blindly trust me at all times, sometimes trust needs to be earned. And if you're ever in a sticky situation where things seem a little bit sketchy, sometimes you need to give your partner reassurance or explain things, or trust shouldn't always just be blindly given to people in circumstances where it seems like something fishy is going on. So it would have made complete sense to, you knew you were innocent, so just give him the paternity test. View everything from a logical point of view and from their lens. Be like, even though emotionally, I wish everyone would have just trusted me, logically, I understand that trust needs to be earned sometimes, and forgive yourself for delaying getting the paternity test and for your involvement in this, your part of this being a messy situation. And forgiveness is an ongoing process. It's not something that's gonna happen overnight. There may be some days where you feel good again, and then other days resentment and bad feelings harbor and bubble up, which is why therapy is amazing and great. You may also want to look into Ho'oponopono healing. It's a Hawaiian like meditative chant. I guess, what's it called? It's a Hawaiian practice of reconciliation and forgiveness. Or I guess it's kind of like a prayer where over and over again you say out loud, or you write it down, or in your head, or in a meditation, you say over and over again, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you, over and over again. And so you can either have the picture of someone else external, like his family members in mind, or yourself, forgiving yourself, regardless of the situation. She might not feel like there's anything that she needs to forgive herself for, but just in general, if you're curious about using that Ho'oponopono prayer, there's many situations where we both need to forgive ourselves and other people, and so this can be good for that. That's one resource to use. And I know you said that you forgave your husband, but it feels like there's more there, that more work that might need to be done on the emotional part of you that wished that he would have just trusted you blindly. There's, you've got to sit with that emotion and validate it, allow it to be expressed, journal about it, but then also logically come back and be like, it does make sense though, why he needed a little bit more validation. But let's see what the comments have to say. Excuse me, insults or violence? Insults are bad enough, but what the fuck? There's no going back. Wait, what violence did they have towards her? I'm curious what that means. Because yeah, depending on what they said, I guess that's true. I'm just working towards the forgiveness based off this misunderstanding, but I don't know what the family did say or do to her. It could be things that's just like, whoa, y'all are wild. Like, this circumstance did not warrant, like no circumstance warrants you being this insulting or violent. So again, I guess it depends on what they did, what kind of apology is warranted in a situation like that, if one even is. But without more context, we don't know what it is. And another comment says, yeah, we're gonna need some context here, because if OP literally means they assaulted her or the daughter, then what the fuck? Doesn't sound like they assaulted her. Edit, OP clarified further down, her sister pulled my hair during a fight. A one-sided fight, by the way, because I never responded to her insults. And his mother also did it on one other occasion. I'm planning to go visit my family in a few months. Okay, that's different. They're being physically, I brushed over the whole violence part. I cannot believe they're being physically violent with her because they think that she cheated. That's wild. Those are not the type of people that I would want to keep close to me either. This is tricky. I think in therapy, she can kind of break down and help come to a realization of what kind of relationship she wants to have with these people, if she can forgive them, if she thinks that the means were warranted. Like, if they never act like this in any other circumstance, then like maybe you can come back from this, as long as y'all stay on their good side, because who knows, something else happens, they're gonna physically be violent again. Like, those are not the kind of people I would want to keep close to me. A lot of the comments talking about how the husband's a cruel person and how he's an idiot, doesn't know how genetics work. But I still think that the fact that she refused to get the paternity test is like the big issue here. Like, that to me screams guilt. One thing if he had his concerns, but he's like, you know, I understand that this is possible, but he wanted reassurance and you didn't give it to him. I think that's a big issue here. Okay, well, moving on to the next post. My partner and I are on a break and his friend is showing interest. What do I do here? Long story short, my partner, 35 male, and I, 31 female, were together for 2 years and started having problems about 4 months ago. He had a work opportunity in another state, so we said we'd take the time apart and assess where we're at when he comes back at Christmas. So they're on a break. Is this like in Friends? What kind of break is this? Have y'all communicated what kind of break this is? Because we all know. I haven't even seen Friends, but I think we've all heard of the break situation. A few days later, after he left, I went to a birthday some of his friends were at, and one of them was super attentive. This is a guy I've always gotten along with, but he basically spent the whole time with me and my friend, who he doesn't know, buying us drinks and giving me random compliments that felt kind of flirty. I thought maybe he was being extra nice because my SO/ex had left, but my friend said he was 100% acting into me. Some people are so oblivious to whether or not someone's flirting with you. Like, yes, he's flirting with you. He's not just trying to be nice because you're heartbroken right now that you're taking a break from your ex. Like, no, he's interested, honey. The other weird thing is he's been seeing someone for a while and apparently still is, because when I asked him where she was that night, he said she was working. I believe she's in hospitality. I left with my friend and didn't think about it too much. Then he texted me to ask what I was doing this weekend. He's only ever texted me for trivial stuff, like to get someone's email. And we've never hung out without my ex apart from that birthday. I said I had plans, which I did. Then he texted again when I was at a function last night to invite me to a party. I didn't go. Okay, why is this sleazebag not only flirting with his friend's ex, but he's also seeing someone else? This is a sleazebag. Okay. To be transparent, I find this guy attractive and he's someone I date under normal circumstances. I also don't think he's being deliberately sketchy, assuming he construed my break from my ex as a breakup and the girl he's seeing is casual. I have no idea how to handle the situation though. No, you're giving him too much credit, too much benefit. Could I have misinterpreted it and he's just being friendly? If not, should I tell my ex? And is there anything wrong with spending time with his friend if I keep it platonic? I know I can technically do what I want since we're on a break, but I feel like the lines have shifted because his friend's involved. Why would you hang out with him platonically if you say you're attracted to him? Like, I'm just not buying that. I'm not buying the whole hanging out with dudes that you would be interested, but just platonically. Like, you have other friends. You have other friends. I would not give this guy the time of day whatsoever. I don't care if the girl he's seeing is casual. Like, I guess I need more details on this other girl that he's seeing, but I don't think he should be giving other chicks attention, is what this sounds like. And this is his friend's ex. Good friends don't sleep with their friends' exes or pursue or go on dates with or flirt or whatever. That's not being a good friend whatsoever. And also, I don't think you're misconstruing what he's doing as just being friendly, because he didn't act like this before you and your ex went on a break. I never understood breaks, by the way. Like, what are the rules of this break? Why is it not a breakup? It's more like, we're broken up, but maybe by Christmas we'll come back and we'll catch up. We'll see how we feel. But like, just breaks are weird to me. Yeah, don't give this guy the time of day. He doesn't deserve it. You deserve someone better than a sleaze bag. This dude's a sleaze bag. I hope you see that, and that you should not be involved in sleaze bags. 2, should you tell your ex? Maybe, maybe not. Depends if you want to warn him, like, hey, your friend is actually kind of a sly fox. That's not the word I'm looking for. Your friend's kind of sleazy and is not a good friend and is flirting with me. You should know that your friend's not a good friend. If you feel like telling him that, then maybe. You could also see another situation where you just kind of brush it under the rug and don't warn him because, I don't know, it's your ex. Let bygones be bygones. Let their issues be their issues. You don't need to be like talking crap about people and warning them how like they're not a good friend. I don't know. It depends on what your heart is telling you. That's what I would do in this situation. If I were in her shoes, I would ask my heart and be like, does it make sense to tell my ex about this? Or should I just let it be? Don't hang out with this guy. He's not good. Let's see what the comments have to say. I'd have to question the value system of any guy that jumps at the first opportunity to bang his buddy's ex. Even if it wasn't a break and a legitimate breakup, it's still a shitty thing to do. You want to be around that kind of person? And OP responds, I hear you. It's definitely something that requires more thought. Thanks for your reply. It doesn't sound like they absorbed that very well. She's like, yeah, but I wanna get my socks. What's the saying? I wanna get my socks knocked the socks, rocks. I wanna rock my rocks. What am I trying to say? I wanna get my rocks. I don't know. I give up. She wants to get laid. And she's like, well, he's a cute guy that's giving me attention. I hear you. He's kind of a sleaze bag, but I kind of don't care. Okay, next post. My boyfriend, 26 male, doesn't like it when I, 20 female, post selfies on Instagram. Is his argument valid? What kind of selfies are these? I'm a person who doesn't usually post photos of myself on Instagram, but when I feel pretty, I do it. It seems that my boyfriend hates it because I'm seeking attention of other men. Yes, that's why. That's why everyone uses social media, is to garner attention from men. That's the only reason, of course. That's a joke if you couldn't tell I'm being sarcastic. Since I'm an attractive woman with a nice body, and according to him, my photos make men touch themselves with them. Ooh. So that just means he's touching himself looking at photos of other women. That's what he's saying there. That's icky, okay. Which I really can't control, and that's not my fault either. My photos are of my face, nothing provocative in my opinion. If men are getting off to photos of her face, that's not her issue. That's a bigger issue in society. His main argument apart from that is, why do I post pictures on Instagram if I'm not seeking attention or trying to? Like, if it's only because I feel pretty, why do I upload then instead of leaving them in my gallery? I honestly don't know what to answer, because although I see some kind of sense in his argument, on the other hand, I don't think he should care or disrespect me. Yeah, no, your boyfriend's dumb. Though he does bring up a valid point that I've thought about myself, because I also don't post selfies that often on Instagram, but I've been thinking about it. I have, like what he's saying, I have a whole gallery of photos of myself looking beautiful, but only I have seen them. Sometimes I'm like, I should post those photos. Those are good photos of me. And then I question, why? Why? What is the point in posting photos of myself on social media? Like, literally, why? What is that? You know, multiple thoughts come in my head. Of some of it is validation of like, I want the world to think that I look beautiful. These are my best photos, and so I want them on display. Not necessarily men, but just like society, friends, whoever, be like, oh, she's pretty. Just a reminder, like, hey, I'm still pretty. I know I posted a photo at one point in the past, but I still look like this, just letting you know. So there is a small part of it that is that, but that's not like my main motivating factor. I think a bigger factor is social media is used to connect you with your friends, and it's nice to like remind people what you look like. Like, I like seeing photos of my friends for people that I haven't seen in a long time, and just getting an update of like, oh, that's them. That's what they look like now, especially people from high school that you haven't seen in a decade. Just being reminded that they exist. And it kind of gives you that sense of connection, where friends that I have that aren't on social media, I don't really think about them that often, but my friends, when I see a photo of them, I'm like, oh yeah, that's a person that I know. And it kind of might inspire you to message them and be like, hey, let's hang out. Not in a romantic way, but not in a thirst trappy kind of way, but just like your genuine girlfriends, or even guy friends if the intention is purely platonic. So there's also that reason, and also just kind of like as a record of over time, what you look like. You can go back and see all of your best photos all in one place. Or, you know, I think it's fun that if you have a person you haven't thought about in a long time, you go on their social media and just like see their evolution, what they look like. Like, I think it's kind of cool to have that available publicly to connect with people. And I'm sure there's even more reasons why people post on social media, want us to like grow a following. I personally don't feel like posting photos of my face will help grow a following. But that's just like, that concept's weird to me. Unless I was like 10 out of 10 models status hot, but that's not the case. So that's not my intention when I'm posting photos. So it is interesting when you break it down and think about like, why do we use social media? Why do we post selfies? But I don't think that your boyfriend's arguments are valid. I think they're ridiculous. I think he has some insecurities that he needs to work on. But like, even if dudes are jacking off to photos of her, why does that impact him? Why does that impact her? It doesn't. It doesn't. Does he think that they're gonna swoop into her DMs and steal her from him? Because those are some insecurities that he needs to work through and become more confident and realize that he's so fucking awesome that his girlfriend would never leave him over, you know, at least not in a situation of like being stolen by another guy, because she loves him. She's choosing him. And that's all he needs to worry about. So yeah, he's got some issues that he needs to work through. But let's read what the comments have to say. Tell him fine, as long as he doesn't follow any women under 65 on Instagram and blocks any woman who posts a selfie that appears in his timeline. Why women under 65? He can't be jacking off to women over 65? Huh? What's wrong with older women? Okay, they're still beautiful. They are still beautiful. But I see what she's saying. Yeah, like, does he follow his own rules? Because I feel like it's worse if he's looking at posts of women on Instagram and potentially jacking off. So that's so gross. That's what's wrong. Not her posting pictures of her face on Instagram. That's not wrong. But he's kind of like admitting guilt by being like, this is how I perceive my social media feed. That's the issue there. Okay, for our last post, we're gonna change up the vibe and read a really nice story on the love subreddit, because after reading so many heavy stories about relationship issues, sometimes it can make us feel jaded in love, and I want to end on a positive note so that we know that love is real and have a newfound hope for, you know, give some attention to the positive things in life. My wife is so nice to me, sometimes it feels like a prank. My wife is unmatched in my eyes, as I am seemingly to her. We've been together since we were 20, over 12 years now, married 7. And we just recently adopted our perfect little son. I grew up with pretty low self-esteem, and I still find it hard to accept all the love and support I receive now on a daily basis. My wife always mentions how she hopes our son will grow up just like me and that she's so happy to raise a kid together. So cute. The crazy thing is that she's so into me that even objectively lame things that I like have become cool to her. I found a man bat while thrifting action figure, a Batman villain, and she wouldn't stop talking about how happy she was I found it. And then I was on a video call with my buddy. She couldn't help but show off my find. Also, she is super hot, so that's cool too. Good for you, man. Here's to love. So sweet. It's always nice when your partner takes interest in the things that you like, not because they're interested in it, but they have so much compersion. They're like genuinely so happy for your happiness. Like that's true love right there. That's showing that they genuinely care about you so deeply that they care when you find things that make you happy, even if that thing didn't make them happy. Like, oh, that's so cute. That's so sweet to me. And they've been together for 12 years, married for 7, and they're still having cute little moments like this, and just felt so compelled to gush about his love and admiration for his wife. Like, oh, I love that. Good relationships do exist. We just don't hear about them as often because people like to vent about their issues, but they very rarely take to the internet to boast about the positives in the relationship. I love the love subreddit and reading these positive posts. But that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to get the tea on even more people's love lives, you can watch another episode of the Libra Love Lounge right over here. But until next time, I'm sending you so much love. Bye.